Well, with the final shape now upon us, we also have access to the Paleheart and its weapon set, which, well, we should probably discuss the basics of acquisition, and then we're going to go into testing of the origin traits, and then the weapons. So, first off, how to get the weapons is commonly through the Paleheart. The best activities I would personally say for them, if you're a solo player, would be Overthrow, because Overthrow is the most likely, and also the Lost Ghost. Lost Ghost gets you a chance for the hand cannon, the fusion rifle, and the sword, and everything else could be found just doing Paleheart activities. And you can also focus them at Ghost for a chance of red borders. And now time for the greatest part of this all, Dealer's Choice. From the database, which I'll have right here, saying, final blows of this weapon grant a small amount of super energy. Equipping multiple weapons from the Paleheart increases this effect. There is nothing else. And, well, what do? We go to the testing cage and just test it with times 1, 2, and 3. Keep in mind, the base for the super I have is 9 minutes and 32 seconds, so I will have time lapses of all 3, and I will be getting 10 kills each, and then we can divide that by 10, and that can determine our time. And well, with the time lapses all done, we have times 1 being about a minute, with the outlier being special ammo being the highest with about a 9-second difference. Then times 2 is about a 2 minutes and 15 seconds removal, the biggest outlier this time being primaries with a 2-second difference. And the biggest outlier for all 3 Paleheart weapons being our primary weapons again, with 4 minutes taken off. And time lapses for the rest will be right here as well. And now with that out of the way, we can finally discuss the weapons. And first off being the Call, which, I'm just going to say this straight up, I had low expectations going into this weapon. Not because I hate the rocket sidearms, it's more of the fact that I did not know that they would be this good. Because it's a kinetic rocket sidearm, so you have embedded kindness from Warlord's Ruin, and you just put it in a primary slot, and I have been rocking a roll literally since day 1, being Subsistence and Desperate Measures. And even then, there is a much better also, which when I'm going to craft this thing, I'm going to be going for. Those being Subsistence, is probably going to keep. Then there's Lead from Gold, Nuper Strategist, where it's basically a Demolitionist but for your class abilities. And then we go to the second column, having Desperate Measures, which is probably what I'm going to do, Hatchling, One for All, Vorpal Weapon, and Adrenaline Junkie. Which, as I said, I've just been using a Subsistence Desperate Measures roll, but personally I would rather go for it with Desperate Measures along with Demolitionist. But I am keeping that old roll. Well, now we have the second thing being the No Hesitation and New Frame Alert. What we have here is also damage testing here, which we see No Hesitation does 2600 a crit and 1855 a body on our minor targets. Compare that to a adaptive frame auto rifle, which does 2320 a crit and 1489 a body. So it's approximately a 12 to 24% increase, depending on if you're hitting your crits or not. And then we also, with the majors, No Hesitation does 1518 a crit and 1083 a body. And adaptive auto rifles do 1355 a crit and 869 a body for a major target. So with these testing shows that you do about 12% more damage per crit and 24% per body shot. Now we can get onto the perk. And now with the perks, we have great options, honestly. Like, I would take almost anything in this slot. Demolitionist, Overflow, Subsistence, Ensemble, and Strategist personally, because Ensemble plays into the support frame. And second comes Incandescent, Frenzy, Desperate Measures, Surrounded, and a new perk, Circle of Life, which is approximately the same as Lumina, where you get a Blessing of the Sky. I will be testing this at a later date, don't worry. And after that we have Someday, which, well, this is not bad. I feel like this would be niche, because it gets recombination with Lead from Gold as what the only real stuff to look for, looking at the perks here. But that's really it, all you're looking for someday. And if you're looking for shotguns, well, almost every other 1-2 punch shotgun will do you better. And another one from this season that is coming is Perfect Paradox, which I am personally going to be grinding out for. So keep an eye on that one. Well, following someday, we have another new frame for a machine gun being Memoria, and, well, let's get straight to the damage testing, where we're doing minor straight up, where this does 7,390 a crit and 6,081 a body. Compare that to the other three types, where we have high impacts doing 11,279 a crit and 8045 a body, adaptives 9,744 a crit and 6,950 a body, and rapid fires doing 5,680 a crit and 4,356 a body shot. And then we move on to majors, where Pro Memoria is doing 4,758 a crit, 3,649 a body. Then we also move on to high impacts, 6,767 a crit and 4,827 a body. Then adapters are doing 5,847 a crit and 4,170 a body, and our rapid fires doing 3,408 a crit and 2,614 a body. We can now discuss its perks, which coming in the first slot we have Reconstruction, Demolitionist, and Hatchling? Yes, first slot Hatchling. This is the first for Bungie. And after that, we have Target Lock, Target Lock, Desperate Measures, Frenzy, and Dragonfly are the ones I would be personally looking for. Which personally, I'd probably stick with what I have already, being a Demo and Dragonfly roll, because this is just really good for ad clear, and that is primarily what I use machine guns for, because if I'm running a machine gun, I am probably either running double special or some supporting weapons. And next up is the Ikora Ray Fusion Rifle. I am not saying that actual name, it is Ikora Ray Fusion Rifle now. Which, in the first slot, actually gets some really decent options. Demolitionist in the first slot, love to see it. We also have Reconstruction and Threat Detector in the first slot. And then also in the second column, we have Desperate Measures, Frenzy, Surrounded, and Controlled Burst. But personally, I would probably just go for Reconstruction Controlled Burst, or maybe roll something niche with Demolitionist and Surrounded, maybe. That could be a fun roll. Okay, following that comes the Fool's Gold Hand Cannon, as I call it, because of its role is a Fool's Gold, being Headstone and Dragonfly, but I would rather say in this first slot, yeah, you have Headstone or Rapid Hit, and then in the second slot you have Demolitionist, Desperate Measures, Dragonfly, Golden Tricorn, and or Collective Action. I would say go with Headstone and Desperate Measures, or Headstone Demolitionist, as how Ice Lunatic has Headstone Unrelenting, but hey, that's just my thoughts on it. And following that comes Embraced Identity, a weapon that has really interesting rolls, but I don't think would actually receive any use because of it being a 90 RPM sniper and Wild Hunt existing. But if you're going to go with this one, I mean, we have reroll rounds of Reconstruction and first slot demo in the first column, and along with 4 times the Charm and Precision Instrument in the second column. That is it. There is no meme. That is the sniper rifle. And following that, I feel like would be more of a niche option, being False Idols, as how this really gets outdone by everything else. It's a caster frame, first off, so it's not really going to be used for damage, so let's get for utility. So then we get first slot Incandescent, first slot Unrelenting, or we also have Wellspring with Attrition Orbs. Then in the second slot we have Chain Reaction, Bait and Switch, Vorpal Weapon, Collective Action, One for All, and Surrounded are the ones to look for. Honestly, I'd rather just, if I'm crafting this thing, either do Unrelenting Chain Reaction or Incandescent with Vorpal Weapon. Because that is probably the only things that would actually be worth it on here. Like, I'm not going to use this thing for stuff much, but if I am going to use it, that's probably what I'm going to be using it for. A utility option, whilst I have something else for damage. And outro now. We have everything done and all of the Paleheart weapons. Hope everyone has at least enjoyed or learned something from this. And following that, I guess all I'd have left to really do is plug the streams, which will be one of the links in the description, and the server, of course. But other than that, I really got nothing else to say. Just thanks for watching, everyone, and ultimately have a good one. Alright, outro time. Now, we have to discuss some things, obviously. No, it's a Paragon is secret. I'm just gonna say it's canned at this point, mostly because of the fact that I just could not keep up with all the seasonal rotations. So I'm sorry for that one. I'll probably just have the video unlisted in a separate playlist in the Destiny playlist, mostly because I don't feel right having it up if I'm already canceling it. And following that will be also the LQ Getting video is going to be starting recording after this one. I'm done with this recording, so yeah, be in mind for that. I'm going to say that it should hopefully have a release date in July if I work on it enough, but I am not going to make a promise. It would most likely be August though, because I'm finally also going to be trying to do other stuff in real life as well about that, and well, I have to go back to editing this video. Now see you all later.